I started my first company back in 2010. Since then, I've had the chance to meet brilliant entrepreneurs with fantastic businesses on their hands. However, 9 out of 10 startups fail. And that's just the hard truth. The most common reasons, according to founders themselves, are no market need, run out of cash, not the right team, get outcompeted, pricing or cost issues, unfriendly product, and finally, no business model. These are the most common reasons. There are a few others, and you can check this article for more info. Now, this connects directly to the 5 startup myths we're going to look into today. Let's do it. Myth number 1. You can raise money on an idea. This is 99% false. You need traction to raise money. Traction in the form of revenue, ideally, or at least traction in the way of users. The notion that you can raise capital to build the first version of your product or to recruit the team is really not the way things work these days. The startup press paints a very different picture on the stage and the requirements for companies to get funding. One of our previous mentors at 500 Startups, Elizabeth Yin, has a fantastic blog on the VC perspective of the startup fundraising model, so you should take a look. Myth number 2, the CEO or the founder is the highest paid employee in the company. Yeah, no, I'm not the highest paid employee in the company. If you look at it hourly, I'm not even in the top 3. As a business co-founder, you're not only the guy in charge, but probably one of the biggest shareholders. Check out our video on startup CEO responsibilities. So share value is your motivation, not salary. Even if your company is not public, the increasing value of those shares and your ability to sell them at an acquisition event. Myth number 3, fast growth comes first, profitability later. And this is a classic. All you read about is scale and growth and SaaS growth ratio and the fact that you need to grow faster. That's all great as long as you have money in the bank and new investors are continuing to fund your operation. For the most part, if your company is growing fast, you will be able to raise more funding. Fast has different definitions depending on the industry, but you're probably looking at tripling or quadrupling your revenue year over year. But what happens if you are growing at, say, 50% year over year? That's not going to get investors excited and probably won't get you that Series A or Series B funding. So what to do? Well, 2 paths. Path A, keep going full steam ahead until you win or you die. Or plan B, take a step back and get your company to a profitable state. If you're noticing how familiar I am with this, is because I'm speaking from experience. We were in the same situation back in 2017. We made a video about it too. The point is, the purpose of a company is to make money. A slow-growing company is better than a dead one. A challenge for many startups comes when they've raised too much money. In that case, the pressure from investors to get an ROI on their capital might put you in a tight spot. In our case, our switch to profitability, while it slowed down our growth, has given us a quite unique position of choosing whether we want to raise more capital or not. Myth number 4, you can pursue an acquisition. I remember discussing acquisition clauses with our investors during our round negotiations. More than often, some of them have come to us saying, hey, we should look to sell the company. That's not something you can do. The best insight I've heard on the matter was on the Startup Therapy podcast, hosted by the guys from startups.com. They do a deep dive into the circumstances that need to line up for a company to decide to acquire another. As a founder, you can't really operate for an acquisition. You need to run your business, period. Too many variables need to line up for a purchase to happen, and you don't have control over any of them. I've been in a couple meetings with large companies that could buy Slidebean out, and I've had the word acquisition thrown around. It has not happened, and I've learned not to be distracted by it. The best you can do to increase your chances of selling the company is just growing the company, which is what you should be doing anyway. Finally, myth number 5, that insert name here, founder is successful. Insert name here for any role model startup founder. All of us need to be growing our companies, which means getting customers and or talking to investors. For both of those, the company needs to project success, which makes it really hard to talk about struggles, issues, or burnout. Projecting any frustration can hurt the company itself, so you end up faking it until you make it. When my first company went out of business, we delayed the announcement for months until I could get back on my feet with a new business. We founders all know this and only expose these vulnerabilities in close circles, often with other founders who also understand that frustration. Even on these videos and this channel, when we talk about past failures at Slidebean, we always acknowledge what we did wrong, but focus on the solution, and the story goes around how we overcame that issue. Talking about a problem that doesn't have an answer yet is something you'll rarely come across in the open. Now, as always, If you want to sign up for Slidebean and try our product for free, you can do so with the code that we'll leave in the description. That'll give you 3 months free on any of our plans. If you enjoy our content, hit that subscribe button and we'll see you next week.